we know our job and they know their job. So that's always the goal, is to keep things strong and keep good relationships. So
This is Facility Rockstars, the podcast that celebrates the unsung heroes of our daily lives, facility professionals. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Join me as we honor these great leaders, sharing stories, insights, and expertise that empower us all to learn and grow together. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Coludus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier.
Welcome back to Facility Rockstars. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Today's guest has built an impressive amount of experience, leadership, and operational expertise throughout his career in facilities and project management. He's a leader known for building strong relationships and driving operational excellence. Throughout his career, he has worked across facilities operations, construction coordination, and organizational management, helping teams navigate complex challenges while improving efficiency and collaboration. Over the years, he has held leadership roles at organizations including Samuels & Associates, Normandy Real Estate Partners, and UG2, building extensive experience across commercial real estate, facilities services, and operations management. He currently serves as Executive Director of Facility Services at Alexandria Real Estate Equities. Rich Martelli, welcome to the show.
thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Of
Looking forward
course.
to it. It's going to be a good episode here. So
It certainly is, my friend. It certainly is. Thanks for taking the time, seriously, for investing your time with us here on the show and sharing.
yeah, no, this is great. Yeah, definitely glad that, I get the chance to do this and kind of speak my story and, just let everyone know what type of things you face in your career. And it's nice to hear some of the other stories as well, too. And we're all in this race together.
We certainly are. We certainly are. To your point, it's a community, and that's actually why we're doing this, is just to help everyone, leap forward,
Yep.
learn, and share. So I guess I'll start with then, based on all the experience we just walked through and all the roles that you've held, what would you say is your biggest lesson learned over the years?
Great question. There's probably, a lot of things to put to that, but I think one of my things is probably just to be adaptable. Something for me, uh, coming through the industry and working with a lot of different people and a lot of different teams, you can learn a lot from people. And, I think just, asking questions about things, you're not going to understand everything, but being adaptable to a team, learning their environment, learning what their experiences are. I think you can really strive in your career. And just, um, every company I think operates differently, for sure, from, through most of the things I've been through. And, even as managers, we all operate differently, but, um, you know, it definitely is something to say there for myself. And that's something that I have kind of realized throughout my career, that, being adaptable and fitting in and being part of the team culture can definitely put you a long way. So
Completely agree, Rich. I'd say adaptability is like right up there in the top one, two, three for me too. Like really.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
is there an example you could think of, hey, this is when adaptability really helped either me or my team or all of us?
I think uh, we certainly change a lot. We have a definitely an interesting culture here at Alexandria. And I think, us, our different management skills and the different teams that sometimes we work with and move throughout the company. And, you kind of have to be that adaptability. It's part of the culture here. And, sometimes you think to yourself, geez, change is tough, and you get different things thrown at you. But when you look back at some of it, you kind of realize that it's good for you. Um, so that's probably a good example I think that I have is just, um, you know, moving throughout the company and being with different people, and, really settles that out a little bit. So
Great words. Before we have any more discussion around questions or your nuggets and your experience, I want to take this opportunity to thank you personally, Rich, because for everyone listening, if you're aware, then you know. But if you didn't know, we just had our summer Facility Rockstars event at the Astrocyte Sky Lounge Sky Deck, which Rich is personally responsible for, right in the Fenway in Boston. You're literally looking right down into Fenway Park. I haven't seen a view like that at any other venue I've ever been at. Thank you, Rich. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was an awesome event. Great people. It was my first event, but definitely won't be my last. Met some great people. It was awesome to host here. It is a beautiful campus, beautiful view. Um, good people, good times, good food. So it was nice to definitely be a part of it, Jay, for sure.
Well, thank you again. And I just, if anyone listening can just visualize, if you haven't been there. So, Rich, one of his people opens up there's this airplane hangar door. We're in the Sky Lounge, and then it's almost like, hey, let me open my front door. And
Yeah.
hits a button and it just swings up. What is it? 50 feet wide, Rich?
Yeah, it's a pretty big door. I'm gonna say, yeah, maybe 35, 40 feet. But bells and horns going off, and definitely know that you're in it's an interesting setup for sure. But
100%. Waiting for a Cessna to fly in. It was
yeah,
great.
right.
Thanks,
That'll
man.
be next someday, right?
Right. So I guess maybe that's a good segue into, I have a question for you about, like, what difficulties may you have faced in terms of planning, construction, and opening of, the 201 Brookline Ave location?
Yeah. So in 2022 we opened up 201 Brookline Ave, Class A lab building. That building, there was an existing building that was there. That was in addition to the Landmark Center back in the day. And fortunately, we were able to demo that structure about 2 weeks before COVID hit, because I think we would have had some serious difficulties getting the building done. Everybody kind of stopped construction in the city of Boston. So, after we had demoed the old building and started putting up the next, things were a lot different in, that time. Things were booming in the lab, life science world. So we were, mostly leased before that building was halfway put up, which is pretty impressive.
Mm.
So just a lot of challenges around COVID delays, with the project. Our curtain wall vendor went out of business during the project halfway through, so we had to kind of change gears. But me being on the facility side here, and having some, experience at the property, working with the construction teams and the development teams here, of trying to push through some of these difficult things. And we changed some mechanical vendors a little bit from different BMS companies around, just trying to figure out what would be the best for the building and the tenants. And again, we filled so quickly there that, we had basically occupancy on a Friday, and then our first tenant moved in on Monday, and then they just went one after another. So, even
That's
with the
certainly a
city,
good thing.
yeah, no, it was fantastic. It was a lot of, just communication, explaining to the tenants, that we still are very active in construction and we have a lot of things we still need to finish. And, we will communicate, and, communicate a lot is what we did. We had a lot of things to work through, with the Boston Fire Department to get these tenants in the door one after another. So, a lot of, shutdowns and, delays and impacts to these existing tenants. And they really struggled through several years of just getting through it, but they did, an awesome job for us. And now we're, 100% leased lab building, which is fantastic. So it's definitely a great accomplishment.
Well done. Well done to you and your team. That's really impressive. Can we talk a little bit about the fact that it's a Class A lab building, and what I don't know if it's challenges, but the nuances that may come along with being a facilities professional in a building of that style and that type?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, a lot of I always treat, in our guys as well too, we tell them the same thing. They had a lot of questions around that too, and just how we, what do we have to do differently? How do we want to, engage with the tenants? You definitely get these, but you know what? At the end of the day, like, we had such good relationships at the very beginning with a lot of these tenants. So just to be able to them in the door, work through it, they knew we were a genuine landlord. They knew we had a lot of construction delays. These people are, they're working through critical science and have experiments going, and they don't want to be bothered, constantly saying, we've got to shut this down. We've got to do this. But they did understand through the process. But, there's a lot of that, white glove service. And, we want to make sure that, they're doing their day-to-day science and not being interrupted. And we can kind of handle a lot of things behind the scenes while, they get to work and solve things that, are definitely above me, and we can keep our buildings running and operating as smooth as possible. So,
Got it. I have a question actually, and thank you, Rich, about when you're seeking team members to run the building, if you will, like how does that differ when you're looking for someone to work in a Class A lab space versus maybe some other type of building?
yeah, it definitely does. I've been fortunate enough to, some of these guys that have been working with me, some of my engineering team, cleaning staff, just, a lot of the third party have been at this campus for a long time too. So they've lived through this as well. And, they've stuck with me, and, I've stuck with them, and we've kind of just worked together through a lot. And I said to them, as we keep developing here, we stick together as a team. You guys are going to become, you're going to set that expectation for the next guys that come in and say, these guys have been with me. They've been worked through this. We've gone through this together. And I think it's definitely, they can weigh in a lot as we're looking at people to say, I'm not really sure. You always want to give somebody a chance, of course, but sometimes you can tell right away. Sometimes you can tell that, maybe they're just not the right fit for us, and maybe they're a right fit for someone else, of course. But it definitely takes I guess what I'm saying, it takes a team to kind of, figure those out sometimes, and, get a good look at, somebody for sure before you hire them. So.
Sure. That makes sense. And I was taking some notes here, and like you talked about, allow the tenants, or I don't know if it was your words, to allow them to focus on the science really and what they're developing while you keep the building running properly.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big thing for us for sure. They're, we know our job and they know their job. So, that's always the goal, is to keep things strong and keep good relationships.
So with regard to, I guess, challenges, like we talked about constructing the building and getting it going and getting occupancy during COVID. Maybe that's the example, but can you think of like the most difficult challenge you and your team have ever faced, and how did you deal with it? Because facilities is always a challenge, right? Or meant largely at times.
Yeah. For sure. I think, putting this campus together as a team, the Landmark Center went through a very large renovation back in 2017. I think that was a big thing for a lot of us team members here to face, because we, at that time before COVID, we had 2,500 people that came to work here every day, and we were renovating every square foot of common space. So that was a very difficult task to get people to come into work every day. And, we always say they must have felt like mice through hallways getting to different locations as we renovated outside the walls. But, the amazing, when we opened up now 401 Park, as it was renamed after that renovation, it was pretty amazing to open up what was developed at the time, and to really see what the outcome was, and for everyone to kind of push through that and work through that. Little did we know it was really kind of just the beginning, as we were, talking about bringing on 201 Brookline Ave as a new redevelopment, and 421 Park as a redevelopment. So it was a good learning experience for all of us. Can't say that I've ever had anything of that magnitude in my career, but definitely something I'm very proud of being part of, and our team for sure.
Oh, you're very humble because if anyone's been to the campus, it's got a lot of wow factor to it. That's for sure.
Yes, it definitely does, and it's you got a 100-year-old structure here, and it's a big place, million square feet, 401 park, so there's a lot to cover, but really pretty cool how everything has unfolded here over the past decade.
Sure, sure. Well done. Well done to you and your team.
Thank you.
So there was something you and I touched on. Maybe it was at the event or prior, but the question was dropped of college or trades. So I'm going to leave it right there for you.
Yeah, so thanks, Jay. This is a good one for me. You know, I got a 16-year-old son. He's in that same type of mindset right now, and sees what dad did. And my dad was a printer for 47 years of his career and had his own business. And I worked with him right out of high school. Didn't really know exactly what I wanted to get into. Knew I was good with working my hands, a little bit of a motorhead, if you want to call it, and just love to be part of putting my hands together and ripping something apart and fixing it, and just kind of went from there. And I tell my son there's no right or wrong, I guess, for college or trades these days. I just feel like I know there's a lot of kids out there that I think if they knew the opportunities that could be out there for them, I think they would definitely change their mindset. And not to say by any means that college is not the right option. My wife went to college. A lot of my friends went to college. I think it just wasn't for me. And I think I can say that I probably made a good choice by sticking in the facilities and getting my HVAC license and moving through, that program several years after. But, when you're in this now and you're a manager and you've got, third party facilities guys, and you see, some of the talent that is kind of missing compared to what we were 20 years ago. Geez, we definitely need to get, more people rolling and get them into this industry one way or another. So
It's a great topic that you're discussing right now, Rich. And I guess my wife and I have kids. So many of us have children who are faced with this decision. What do you do? What's right? What's wrong? There isn't a right or wrong, right? There's just a path. But I guess I'd ask you, the path you chose was the trades, and look at the success that you're realizing every day now. What advice from your experience might you give someone who's faced with this same choice?
don't do it. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't.
No, I would say just again, learn from the people around you. Try to figure out, back to my son, he's got a friend that is going to a trade school, a vocational school in the area, and he is getting into HVAC. And I was kind of like, all right, maybe this will be a good thing for him to see, and he can work with him a little bit. Because not everybody always wants to work with dad. I get it. But he's taken on to it a little bit and kind of started a little bit of like carpentry here and there and tinkering. And really that's all it kind of takes to figure out, geez, this is something I could do, or I like using my hands, or, it just comes different, comes easier to different people for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, I would definitely say to, try something, learn from your friends. If someone's involved in something, give it a try. There's nothing that, you can't, go wrong with giving it a shot and seeing if it's something that, might interest you.
Hey, rock stars. If you're tuning into the podcast and are feeling overwhelmed by all the maintenance demands at your facility, don't stress. We've got you covered. Our sponsor, Coludis, is your go-to partner to help you tackle all those demands and get them done right, on time, and with top-notch quality. From project planning to execution, Coludis is there to make hard work easy. Visit coludis.com today to get started. I think that's really, really solid advice right there. It's like, because you're right. If you try to pull a motor apart or plumb something in, and you either love it or maybe you don't like it at all, and that's your answer right there.
When I say to my kids a lot, they're like, "How come you're always fixing the car? How come you're always doing this? Or you're doing that? Or you're working on the house?" Those things are, you got to try it one way or another, and
Mm-hmm.
it's, these things are expensive to fix nowadays. You got to pay these tradespeople. And I think it's, something for them to understand that what you really can do with those type of skills.
Agreed. I have kind of I'd say fun question for you. Did you call yourself a motorhead? Kind of a motorhead? Is that what you
I
said?
did. I
Yeah.
did.
So I have a question. Are you a Chevy, Ford, Mopar, or other?
I am a Chevy guy.
Yeah, good.
So,
That is the correct answer. Well
okay.
done.
I
Yep.
was going to
You,
say, I
you
don't
answered
really know if
correctly,
there
sir.
is another answer, but yes, I'm a Chevy guy. So,
Nice. Awesome. You tear them apart? What do you do?
yeah. So I actually have a truck that I've been restoring for about 6 years. Almost done, but I've gone from bolt to one end to the other, and mostly in the driveway on the weekends, and take a few days here and there. But it's about 90% done. It's drivable. It runs great, and I was out cruising this weekend, so it was cool. It's something I enjoy. I've always enjoyed it, even as a kid. So I'm glad that 30 years later, I can have my dream come true and make my own truck. So it's cool.
That's awesome. Do you mind me
Yeah,
asking what it is?
it is a 86 Chevy K10, the square body truck. So four-wheel
Oh, I
drive.
love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
I
lot of
love it.
fun. It's definitely brings me back to my teen years. So, but it's fun.
I had an 87 with an 8-foot bed, Silverado.
Nice. Yep, looks very similar. It's a 6-foot bed, but I've done a lot of work to it, and again, tried to get my kids involved a little bit. Even my daughter, she's a few years younger than my son, but she's taken with me a little bit here and there. Um, but now he's starting to get into where he's getting his license soon, and he's taking a little bit more interest in it. So I think maybe he wants to start learning a little bit more about it, which is
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Well, he's got a great person to learn from, clearly. So training for the future generation, there's a gap. A lot of people talk about it like a talent gap that we're facing here, Rich. And how would you advise, or would you advise, like, what are your thoughts on training for the future generations in our facilities world?
When I went through the tech school, maybe I was fortunate, but I had a really good teacher. He was a great guy, very knowledgeable, was an HVAC trade guy for a long time. And, we learned a lot about schematics and different things in the classroom, but you really need to get yourself into the field. And for me, it was great. We were one of the first classes to go through a new school. So we got to set up the whole shop. We got to install a bunch of equipment from start to finish. And does it feel exactly like the real thing? No, it doesn't. But I think with a lot of hands-on, in my opinion, a lot of that hands-on goes a long way for me, especially, as a I needed to get that stuff wrapped around my head and work through it. And it starts to click from classroom to, to real life, basically. So, and I think feel like there's a little bit of a gap there. I know there's a lot of schools out there, but I don't, it'd be nice to see them have a little bit more of the guys to get their hands on training. And, even video and AI and that type of stuff is amazing what it can do now, but just really figuring out how to get that, diagnostic to field and really understand how to get that finish, is definitely missing in my opinion. So I think training is definitely a big thing for our future. I always feel like it was good for me to go through it and to understand it.
Rich, to that point, how did you learn it? Like, I know you were a very hands-on guy, right? I got that, but was there formal company training, or maybe what does Alexandria do for newcomers?
Yeah. So a lot of when I moved into, my first kind of role in commercial maintenance, I started with, back in the day was Unico and then BTZ, and now is UG2, which has turned into an unbelievable company. And, we had a lot of good core group guys that I learned a lot from, and they'd been in the industry for a long time, electricians and HVAC guys, and I just really kind of absorbed what they're working on. Because when you come from, working on smaller things, I did a lot of residential work over the years, and you come into this bigger monstrosity buildings and they feel like you're just completely overwhelmed. But at the end of the day, these systems they're just bigger is really what it is. And to, to soak up that information from these guys and really kind of just say, all right, this starts to make sense a little bit. What about that? Like, I don't really know enough about that. Oh, okay. Well, have you ever done this? Yeah, I have done that. Oh, all right. It's almost the same thing. So just touching and asking and, uh, you know, I think even for me, I take that now with my guys. If I say they're asking me a question, I know they're asking it for a reason. They want to learn it. They want to understand it better. And of course, we don't all have the answers, but if you've done it and, maybe I can help you or you can help me sometimes, we learn from each other. So it's just getting involved with things and working through the process and understanding it the best you can. And we'll figure it out one way or another, right?
No, I get it. What I'm hearing is surround yourself with really good people and be willing to learn and put yourself out there. Sounds like that's the path you took and it worked.
Yep, absolutely.
Something I don't think you and I have talked about this prior, but like when we were at the event, the vendors you have there, like everyone from you just mentioned UG2 with event planning, you got VP&E in the garage for parking, which is massive. God knows what else. Like, how do you or your team tackle management or guidance around all these vendors that you have to have there or that you choose to have there?
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of vendors here. And we've had some great vendors over the years. So it's been good to, sometimes, vendors get complacent and you want to shop around a little bit and get some better pricing. But we have had some great vendors here over the years. A lot of hard work done by others before me. And I, knew some of these vendors before I came onto this property or even into the trades. And I feel like, learning, from them and having good people around me manage them, I think is a good one because obviously you want to make sure your vendors are getting their job done, doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because at the end of the day, if something goes wrong, and I always stress that to our guys, like, well, I opened the door, he's in there doing his thing. And I'm like, well, we gotta be with them. We want to watch them. We got to see, you got to learn from them. You got to understand because things can happen and it's our building at the end of the day. And we don't want, we don't want issues to come up, but it's a great question, and I think we've got great managers in our departments here from cleaning to, our chief engineer is been in the industry a long time. Great guy to be a part of your team. Parking manager we have a loading dock manager here at the campus too that does a lot for us. They're just kind of the eyes and ears for us, and that helps a lot because we can't always see everything. So.
Well, it certainly showed. I mean, like when we were there, we had a fair amount of people in and out of your building, quote, off hours, and it was flawless. From where I sat, it was flawless. So, yeah, well done.
Yeah. They've been doing this a long time for us here, and they understand it as well, too. So it's like I said, you surround yourself with good teams and good partners, can make everybody shine,
Yeah, definitely. So, Rich, what do you love most about your job and why?
I think for me, just with problem solving, for me, we are technicians. We like to figure out how this stuff works. Things come up, things happen. And I feel like in that moment when things are not going how you wanted to, whether it's Monday or Friday afternoon, things happen in this industry. We know that's the inevitable. And, it feels good to be able to have the team divide and conquer. Whether sometimes it's even behind the scenes and the tenants don't even see a hiccup and we're able to get building systems back online. It's pretty it's very satisfying just getting from point A to point B and, having our guys feel good about it too. And just saying like, this is why we work so hard. This is why we prepare. This is why we know our systems. We know our buildings. It's definitely a sense of accomplishment for sure for me.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So now you may have already answered the next question. You kind of did, but there's probably more to it. we just learned a ton from you. I learned hands-on not hands-on, but I saw your operation firsthand. But when you're not consumed with all of the things at 401, 201, what do you like to do, man?
I like to play golf. I don't get out as much as I used to. I'm definitely playing some golf here coming up, but again, I like to, I'm into, the family is too. We like to do, we have side-by-side ATVs, so we'll go up to northern New Hampshire and ride ATVs, and we also spend some quality time in Maine, in Kennebunk area. Wife's family has a place up there, so we like to spend a lot of time up there during the summer and enjoy the beach, and while the kids are still young. But I'm kind of an outdoors guy. I play hockey. Don't play as much as I like to, as I'm getting a little older, but I still play hockey on one of my just men's league teams. But yeah, I like to get out there and do what I can,
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned northern New Hampshire. I think I did side-by-sides a couple times. I think Jericho State Park. Is that
Yeah, so friends of ours have a place about an hour and a half north of that. So
Okay.
we're pretty much all the way up the top there. But we have a great time, cousins, family. It's kind of been something we've done for a long time, and kids have fun. So that's the goal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of kids, all the best to your decision your son comes up with. You said he's 16, right? We can go back to the trades or college. So yeah, I hope it all goes very well for you both.
Yeah, thank you. I know he's gonna be having some decisions to be made, but told him there's no wrong or right answer here, and we'll help you in any way we can. So
Fantastic. Rich, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they wanted to contact you about anything we just covered?
cell phone's probably best.
Okay. I could put it in the show notes, but if you want to say it out loud.
Yeah, 978-440-0083. You can also email me too. My personal email is richmartellijr@gmail.com.
Perfect.
So
Awesome.
yeah, reach out anytime.
Before I thank you for being on the show, I'm going to thank you again. Your venue was incredible. Your generosity was amazing, and it was very well done. Very, very well done. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. It wasn't, I wish I could say it was all my hard work, but it definitely wasn't. It was kind of a small piece of it. So most of it was done by some the great people that work here. So, but thank you again, Jay.
Absolutely. And thank you for being on the show, taking some time, had a couple laughs, learned a lot from you. Thank you very much, Rich.
Yeah, it was awesome, Jay. Thank you so much. I'm glad, definitely glad I took the opportunity to do this. And, it was great conversation, and appreciate it.
Right back at you, man. And thank you to everyone who tuned in and listened once again this week. Rich's episode was awesome. And you can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on Apple, Substack, wherever you get your podcasts. You can get Facility Rockstars, and we'll catch you next time.
It's a wrap. Another episode of Facility Rockstars is in the books. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Colutus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Until next time, facilitate and rock on.